Welcome everybody to a new Flower Circus Talks. Today we have a very special guest from Holland. We have Bas Rensen, the Managing Director from Flamingo Flowers. So let's quickly invite him into the live stream. Welcome, Bas.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, thank you. Very well. Friday afternoon again.
Yeah.
Challenging week.
Almost time for a beer.
Nearly there. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for inviting me as well, and good afternoon, everybody on the line.
Yeah. Everybody, thank you already for watching. If you have any questions for Bas, you can ask them in the comments. So, Bas, let's start with you and Flamingo.
Now, maybe a very short introduction, I think, about myself for the people who don't know me. My name is Bas Rensen, as you said, born in the Westland area, grown up in the Westland area, 43 years old. Lovely family with 2 children, a little daughter, 5 years old now, and a son, 8 years old, and a lovely wife. And coming from a grower's family as well. So my grandfather was already a grower in the Westland area. Okay. So I started as a 3 years old boy going to the auction.
So you can say
yeah, indeed. So it was already quite young in the DNA. Let's say it that way. Yeah.
And you were also quite young when you already started at Flamingo.
Yeah, so I think now after that, my career started after my study, totally something else, because I started in an IT company. That was the company for my brother, who is an exact dealer, so the financial part. But very nice to do and to start, of course, because during my school and during holidays, I always worked at a grower, as what we do in the Westland area. And after that, I really started to work in an office from my brother. I think that was a very nice thing, but a very slow, I would say, a slow market. The IT in that way too slow for me. So I really wanted to go back in the Westland area, and I started to work for Unicum Frisia at that time. So a growers, 23 growers in that time, selling the Frisias mainly to Holland, to the UK and some other parts of the world. And I did that for a couple of years as a salesman. And then in 2004, Flamingo came along. Flamingo was my biggest customer in the UK, so that was my connection to them. And they asked me, can you start up a business for us in Holland? So that was quite excited. It was only 16 years ago, nearly 16 years ago now, because this coming 1st of December, it will be 16 years ago that I stepped in this office as a very young guy.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
You don't see that too often anymore.
No, I think maybe I had it from my father as well. He was quite loyal to his business, and my grandfather was the owner of his own glass house, so worked in the industry quite long as well. And I think it is also a matter of fact, do you enjoy it, and can you develop yourself? I think that is important. And to be honest, after 16 years, it was never a boring moment in Flamingo in that time. No, it was nice to do, and still nice to do. And yeah, I think the fresh world is a quick world, as we know. It's not. We do flowers, we do vegetables and plants nowadays. And it's changing a lot in those 16 years as well. But and a lot of things happened with Flamingo as well, of course, during those years.
Yeah, can you talk us a bit through Flamingo Holland? Is just one of the parts of the whole big Flamingo company.
Yeah. Now maybe it's nice to say a few things about, to start with, the Flamingo Group. Maybe that it was established in 1982. It was an Englishman called Dickie Evans who traveled around the world and also to Africa for another job, but he fell in love with Kenia and the growing part of it, of course, not as professional as what it is today. But he decided that he wants to live there and he wants to grow his own vegetables and flowers. He started with strawberries, by the way, but that was not so successful. But no, he was really excited about the fact, okay, can we grow in Africa and can we ship that to the UK? In that time, it was via Geest, Van Geest, we call it. Was the middleman who was doing the logistics and the commercial part. But he already decided, I think that was quite quickly already in that time, because nowadays we are still talking about it, that the supply chain, to keep it as short as possible. So he was approaching the retailers themselves and to say, I can grow for you in Africa and especially in Kenya, and I want to ship to you directly. And that is how Flamingo really started in that time. And the moment when he went bigger, that was quite a big step later in 2000. In 2000, he decided, I really want to have the whole chain. I want to control the whole chain, also the logistic part of it, and the marketing and the sales part of it. So he decided to buy the packers. We call it the packers in the UK. In that time, names like Flower Plus, Zwetsloots, Lin Garden. People who are in the industry for a long time maybe can remember those names as well. And he decided to buy them and to get the owner of the total supply chain from really the growing part. So he was never involved in the breeding part, but really the growing part to the shelves, to the stores, and to the retailers in that way. So very successful. And he did that till 2000. In 2004, this office in Holland was established, but I will tell a little bit more about it later. But in 2007, he sold it for us the first time to a private equity company called the Zwaaien Group. And I think nowadays you see a lot of private equity around us. But I think in 2007 it was quite new that a private equity was buying something in the horticulture in that time. So we became a part of Zwaaien, and the people in the market will probably more know it for Finleys in that time. Yeah. Because a part of Zwaaien Group was Finleys, and Finleys in that time and still is quite big in growing tea in Kenya and Sri Lanka, and they were getting quite excited about flowers and vegetables as well. So we stepped in with the Zwaaien Group, a very, very nice time, till 2015. In that time we have been sold to another private equity called Sun Capital, and we are still part of Sun Capital nowadays. So that is, I think, in a summary, the Flamingo story as a group. And Flamingo nowadays, for the people who don't know, it's more than 10,000 people working for the group. Very big, of course, in the UK, but we are selling to the continent as well. We have our own farms in Kenya, nearly 1,700 hectares, and also 20 hectares in South Africa as well. So we feel ourselves really as the grower, and the partner for the retail, and of course with our key partners with other growers in the world as well. Yeah. And then maybe a little bit smaller, as what you were saying about the Dutch office established in 2004. So then my excited story will start in that time. So to be honest, John, it was a little bit strange maybe, because in that time the auctions, as you still know, probably were still competitors from each other. Yeah. The Aalsmeer auction and the Westland auction, and it was not really allowed to have a company from abroad to establish at the Dutch auction, and I think also to protect in a fair way the traders as well, of course, in Holland, the wholesalers. But there was nothing what it could say to me, because I was Dutch. I had a Dutch bank account. I had a Dutch BV. And I was trying to cooperate very closely with the Dutch growers as well. So in that way, the old director from the auction in the Westland, Arnold Hoordijk, allowed me to start in this area in that way. And that was nice. There was nothing. So my first job was to get the Flamingo letters on the roof from the building. So that was quite excited. And here we are, I think 16 years later, nearly doing now an 85 million euro turnover what is still a small part of the group, working very closely with the Dutch growers and buying on behalf for the UK. But also in the last couple of years, we are now also selling to the continent as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So no, a lot of things happened from the moment I stepped in and where we are now.
Never a dull moment.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, and last year you already knew that 2020 was going to be a crazy year. I mean, you won the tender with Tesco, so you knew that a lot of work was coming up. But then again, Corona started, and now we're in a second wave. So we can say that 2020 is a crazy year, especially for you. But you with Tesco you won it.
Yeah.
And on which points did you win it? Why did they choose you?
Yeah. No, and now I'm happy to say something about Corona later on, because it was a very challenging year, and I think for everybody, of course. But yes, the big question was this year about Tesco. But I also need to say that we have a lot more other customers as well. So I think it's not only the focus Tesco, of course, but yes, it's a very important customer for us in the UK, and also for a very long time, because the relationship is going back 20 years. With Tesco, so we know the customer very well. They know Flamingo very well, and I think that the tender was of course a big item in the flower industry and for everybody. I think because the UK is still a big market for the export for Holland, and as we all know, flowers is still the third export product in Holland as well. So if such a tender is going on, then of course there's a lot of eyes looking at it. It was a challenging time, I would say, and it was for everybody, not only for us, for competitors or for Tesco itself. It was a long period, 18 months. I think I was never involved in a tender for 18 months. But I think there was a lot of decisions going on, and a lot of things happened in the world as well, of course. But I think for me, I think because I had these questions many times, and then you think about it, okay, what is now making Flamingo unique? What is now the reason why they choose for a company like us? And I think there's a lot of reasons. I think first of all, a lot of people will say price, and price is of course always it's a part of the total deal, and that is always. But I think there's a lot of other elements what is important as well. And I think if you start such a process, for me and for Flamingo as well, I think you need to believe in your key values of the business. And I think our key values in this way is for me 4 elements. First of all, I think it's important for us to say we are a vertical integrated company with our own farms. What is really important for us, because we present ourselves, of course, as a big grower in that way. Secondly, we need the partners, so we need the growers around the world, and especially also in Holland, to make this to a success, because you can never do it alone. But that's not only for the growing part, it's also for the logistic part. It's everything in the chain what is important to make sure you get a deal together. And it is always an open conversation with Tesco as well. I think the third one was for us consumer insight, information, and innovation. So that means we are driving this model more and more with data as well. You need to know what the consumer is doing, what is the behavior of the consumer, and in that way, I think you can change quickly and react on things what will happen. And especially this year, you need to react in that way. And innovation, we have not only in this office, but also in the UK, we have a big NPD team, new product development team, who are always every day looking for innovation, looking for new things, looking for other varieties, talking to the growers, talking to the breeders, talking to the trends, because we are making the trends sometimes a year, 12 months before it is really happening. So I think that's important, I think, to give that confidence to your end customer in this way. And the last one for me is the security of supply. and that is important for both ends. If you're running a company like Flamingo with nearly 1,700 hectares, we cannot go in and out. The farm is there, we are growing it, but we are growing it during the winter months, during the peak periods, but also in the summer. And to make sure to give that guarantee, to give the availability all the time, also when it is difficult, to your end customer, in this case then Tesco, what is the question? I think that's important. I think those 4 elements, we believe as Flamingo in those 4 elements, and I think that was fitting in this case for Tesco as well. And then you will find a match. How do you say? Yeah.
That's true. I want to come back, but we already touched the subject, COVID-19. Strange period for everybody. I think in the end, you see that the retailers they had the people coming in and out all the time.
Yeah.
So that was a big advantage for them. But can you talk us quickly through what happened from the moment there was the lockdown in the UK?
Yeah. I think when it all happened, I believe on the top of my head it was around the 15th when the Prime Minister in Holland did the announcement about the rules in Holland. And on the 22nd we had English Mother's Day. So what is keeping me awake those nights? And because we had the most, now I would say the most biggest Mother's Day ever in my 16 years what I'm doing with Flamingo. So if you then a week before that will happen, you see what is happening in the world, then yes, it's making ourselves nervous, of course. So I think the one thing what I've learned in the last 16 years, you will come together quite quickly with a crisis team, and that needs to be happen because it's not the first crisis, it's a big one, but of course we learned our lessons from the past as well. So that was for us the first important thing, to come together, to talk with each other, and I think also to talk about the risks. So what can happen? And number one, because with 10,000 people working for Flamingo worldwide, number one is of course protect your people. Make sure that is protected, that we do everything what we can to do that. So, but for us it came a little bit later than what you saw in Holland, because what happened in fact is that there was quite a lockdown happening already in Holland. Now you saw that was a disaster for the growers, for the industry, for the auction. It came very big in the news, of course, but the UK was still there. Nothing really happened because the UK didn't make any announcement yet. If they were waiting, I don't know. I still don't know. But in the end, we delivered, I could say 98%. We delivered everything for Mother's Day. So that was for us, of course, a very nervous week. If such a volume is really going through your business. And then on the 23rd of March, there was the announcement from the UK as well. And then the same thing happened, what we already saw in Holland as well. So then for 2 weeks in the latest week of March and also the first week of April, very nervous times. And then you talk with all the directors in all the different countries. You talk with your shareholders. Suddenly, and that is how it works in our industry, but suddenly you don't work only for the profit of the organization, but it will be protecting your people, protecting the business for the future, because that's important as well, to make sure we do everything what we can. And I think that is what we did, and that is how we announced it to the people as well. People were working from home in that time, and I can say that from the 10,000 people working worldwide, we only had in April 50 cases with COVID-19, because I think you cannot avoid to have a zero, but at least to have the rules in place to make sure what you need to do is important. I think to make that clear to the people as well, and that is what we were doing the whole time. And then a really fascinating thing happened, because after 2 weeks we saw that the retail customers dropped down quite heavily, but our internet customers went up to the roof, and even more to the roof. So then you need to change your business quite rapidly from not supplying the stores but supplying online customers, and that's an exciting period, I can tell you.
The online was there already for many years, of course, but it was always on the sideline, and yeah, it looks like they were waiting for COVID-19 to happen to really kick off, or it feels like that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think fair to say, I think as long as we all make sure that you protect your people, then of course there will be moments in life that you can use those periods as well to put your business up. And I think that happened with some of our customers as well, and they really went hard on the marketing, and people were working at home, and then you saw that a lot of people, after a strange period from a couple of weeks, that people were buying flowers again, and happiness in their homes. And I think we play a good part in that.
Yeah, how's the situation now with internet sales? I spoke this week with some people from the US. They say it went up like crazy during the COVID-19 period. In the summer period, it went down again to 50%, but still it was higher than normal. And now they see again with the COVID-19 or people infected in the US rising again. They see the internet sales going like crazy again.
Yeah.
Is that something you see in the UK as well?
Yeah, I think the same trend. I think what you saw is that, of course, retail, the stores went up a little bit again. It never went really to the 100%, but 90% roughly where the orders were from before. And you saw that internet was going down, but still higher than before the corona situation, COVID-19. Where we are now is that what happened is that with all the lockdowns, what is happening now, and then looking at the UK retail, is that the retail in the UK is still quite stable. So the orders are not going down that rapidly, what we saw in April, but the internet is going up again. So for us, I can even say, and that's strange maybe in this period, but this year we are growing as a Dutch office more than 50%. Some of the impact, of course, starting Tesco as well in September.
Yeah.
But we also, the whole internet opportunities we have at the moment, and that is going up again. But the stores are not going down that rapidly as what we saw in April. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think people are more used now to what's happening now. They already know a little bit what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, what they see in the US is that also people go to the supermarkets and they spend more than they normally do. It's something.
I think what you see as well, that I think that the spending, you don't see it only on flowers but food as well. You know, we are growing vegetables as well in Kenya. But the thing is that normally the people will spend that money probably in a restaurant or in a bar or whatsoever, and that is not happening at the moment. So, and the retailers are still open. Lucky, I think, for our industry, for the UK, that the retailers are still allowed to sell flowers here, because you saw in Belgium and France at the moment that it's an unfair competition, what they are saying. So they are not allowed to sell any flowers in the lockdown period. That's not happening yet for the UK. So we really hope that we can make it a success, and that the forecast for Christmas is still good, as what we can see on paper.
Yeah, I think if people have to stay home, I think for the floral industry, Christmas is going to be crazy.
No, I think so. Because people love to go out again and love to do things again. You do see that the retailers are a little bit nervous at the moment, especially about the things to order in front. Because you are very unsure about that period, of course. But no, let's hope that we can continue as where we are. But again, the first priority for everybody is to protect your people and keep it safe, because that's the most important part, of course.
Yeah, health is the most important part, for sure. Like you said, you have your own production in Africa, in Kenya and in South Africa.
Yeah.
1,700 hectares, you told me?
Yeah, nearly 1,700 hectares in Kenya and 20 hectares in South Africa. And from the 1,700 hectares, there is more than 1,000 hectares planted with flowers and vegetables. So
Okay.
we have still space, but not not all the land you can plant flowers or vegetables. But we have still space, of course, to do more. What is in fact happening at the moment as well. Yeah.
Okay. And that's with roses, or is it other crops that you're expanding in?
Both, I would say. So we are looking at the moment and to expand our facilities to upgrade that to let's say 2020,
Yeah.
but also to expand the farms as well with the land we already have. And next to that, we are also looking at more flower types, and that means we want also to pack on source. That means we can make a finished bouquet on the farm as well, and that all has to do with the supply chain, the freshness, to make sure that there's less handling involved for the supply chain in total. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And in South Africa, that I know from my former job, there's a lot of chrysanthemums grown over there.
Yeah.
Will that happen in Kenya as well, or is it already in Kenya?
Yeah, it was already happening, by the way, with other growers in Kenya.
Yeah.
But as Flamingo, we started with some chrysanthemums as well. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I think that's important because in the UK, chrysanthemums is of course a very big item. So for the mixed bouquets, we need to put chrysanthemums in the bouquet as well. So that's definitely a big item for us to make sure that will be a success.
Yeah. Somebody from Kenya is already saying as well that they're already in Kenya.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that's my source. That's my source in Kenya. He knows everything over there. So
no, it's I think Flamingo is already there. In the time when it started, it was homegrown, and I think it's going back for a very long time. So it's well known. I think what we do, and there's very successful stories. Not all flowers are successful to grow over there, but so far, we can say that we are very pleased with the development we are doing at the moment. And also, I think we are very pleased, of course, with our shareholders who are happy to invest going forward as well, because that is what you need. It's not only growing the product; it's the supply chain, it's the cool chain. So everything together is making it a successful Flamingo.
Yeah, and it's a great way if you can pack at the source and you have all the flowers that you need over there. The less handling, the better, of course.
Yeah, no, and the same for Holland as well. Of course, we need our Dutch growers. Holland is still our favorite country in the flower industry, and we are managing 300 growers each day at Flamingo. That's a combination of flower growers and plants growers. Of course, you have seasonal growers and year-round growers, etc. But it's a quite large group of growers that we definitely need. We cannot do without them. And there are partnerships that I started with them 16 years ago, and they are still supplying us. So I think we are hopefully doing something good together. But we don't see each other as a supplier-customer. It's a partnership, and that partnership is very important to understand each other, to know what's going on. The requirements from a retailer is always high, and we need to make sure that you will support each other in that way. And nowadays with the changing climate, with the changing industry, we need to make sure that the supply chain is as lean as possible. So we have great projects going on in Holland as well to make sure that less handling, pack on source even in Holland. What we are doing, and even straight to the UK or even straight to the depot of the retailer. So I think it's a changing world, and we are great, of course, and thankful that Dutch growers are helping us in that way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I worked a little bit in retail as well, but maybe can you explain what's the difference between a grower who has to supply for the retail and one who's supplying for the wholesale?
Yeah, I can say that I think the biggest difference is that I think wholesale, I was always in retail, so I'm not an experienced guy in wholesale maybe, but I think wholesale is probably more weekly basis, day to day, ad hoc. And I think retail, as I can describe it, the partnerships we have is longer term. And we always did that. I think I have even contracts in place now, what is for 4 or 5 years. So you give a guarantee to the grower to invest, to develop, to think with us. And it's not only about Valentine and Mother's Day, because I will always say everybody can sell during this period, but we need to be there during the summer and the autumn as well. And that means for the Dutch growers, that means for our own farms. So I think those commitments, and then I think you go back to the values we have in the company, and the 4 elements, what I said in the beginning, it's important. And I think that is, for me, the difference probably between a wholesaler, more on an ad hoc basis. And of course, retail is much more volume driven as well. So if you want to grow the bigger volumes, then I think retail is, of course, more bigger in that way than the wholesale market.
And I think retail is more strict on quality as well. I'm not saying that roses have to be 1 meter or something, or chrysanthemums have to be very heavy, but they have to be like it's written about. Okay, they need 5 flowers, they need this, and there's no room for error. While you at the auction, if you buy something, there's still how many percent? 5 to 10% error can be there. Without any problem.
No, I think in the last 60 years I had many discussions about this subject, of course, because it's high standards. It's the technical requirements. What we need to do is high. We are asking the length, the weight, the head size. It's quite specific, of course. But in that way, it's also the guarantee of bigger volume, longer term, and be there for 52 weeks in the year. And I think that's important as well. I think for me it's important, as long as we will drive that together, we will give the support together. And in this case, we have technical managers, we have quality managers, we have the right support to do that, of course, as well. Then I think we will get there. But I can imagine that it's not for every grower in that way to do that. But you have many retail growers who are doing this for many, many years, of course.
I personally don't think you can do both, because you have to be very specialized to do either one or the other. And
it's a different market. I think we decided many years ago as well. Can we look outside the UK for other markets as well? And then, of course, you get the question, do we look at the wholesale market or do we look at the retail market? But Flamingo fits in a retail market, and that is where we want to be. And the reason is because it's big volume, it's driven by certain things, what is not always it will not fit in that wholesale market or a day-to-day market. And we don't want to be a trader. We just want to make sure we have fixed programs, etc.
Got a question from Juan Naranjo. How's the supply of flowers from South America?
From South America, I think the supply is still good, and at the moment, Flamingo was not that big in South America. By the way, with vegetables, it was, because we are quite some good partners in Guatemala. Flowers, we are taking some chrysanthemums from Colombia. But for us, and the line is still there, the relationship is still there, but the bigger volume on chrysanthemums is still coming from our own farms and from the Dutch growers. And that was always, for us, successful enough to do it that way.
And to continue it like that, probably. Okay, great. So many questions and so much information. Actually, I was talking about the wholesale growers and the retail growers. How does it even happen that you have to buy extra on auction? Does it still happen, or is it no auction anymore because the difference in level of quality is too big?
We never did the auction, and I need to say the clocks. So that when I already started 16 years ago, I always preferred to do the deals directly with the growers. So we need to have the flexibility, of course, with the growers to go backwards and forwards, and that will sometimes that's a big request to the growers, of course. But we are not going into an auction or auction clocks, and that is also dependent because we need a certain specification as well for our customers. So to buy on an open market is not really what we prefer as a company. So it really needs to come from our growers, from our own farms, and from the partners. And after 16 years, I can say I don't have any clock bias. We are still successful to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about trends. I mean, it was, I think, 20 years ago that England started local grown and things like that. They promoted all the local growers.
Yeah.
Is going back now to a worldwide supply of flowers, or how do you see this? Or is it still
no, local for local, and you see it again in vegetables and flowers, by the way, but it's still there. So a big part, we have very great partners in the UK as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are seasonal growers that we are using during the summer period in the UK. Now it's definitely high on the agenda from our end customers as well, that if we can get it closer from home, then we definitely need to do that. We are not investing ourselves in farms closer at home, because we believe still in the fact the combination with our farms in Kenya and closer at home, so in the UK, in Holland, etc., etc. But we have very nice and good partners who are doing that for us. We like the model, how we are presenting that to our end customer at the moment. But local for local is still, especially in the UK, it's still a hot item.
Yeah. Another hot item is sustainability.
Yeah.
It's just there. It's not a trend. It's a must.
For us, definitely, and that is not because our customers are saying that, or because of certifications or etc. etc. For Flamingo, it was always sustainability a part of the group. We have a sustainability director, so we have a group of people who are taking care of that, making the strategy for the longer term as well. But you can believe with protecting your people, protecting the community, protecting your land, and everything what we do, you cannot do without a sustainable thing. I know from 16 years ago there was always a challenge in that time around water, for example. And if you look nowadays where we are, that we collect water, and then we can, for example, 6, 7, sometimes even 8 months dry period, we can handle that easily to collect water in the rain period. So it's changed so much during those years. If you don't make that sustainable, I think then there is no future. And for us, that has nothing to do with what end customers will say or whatever. We need to do it ourselves as well.
Yeah, it's a way to survive, and sustainability is much more than a paper sleeve instead of a plastic sleeve. I think still.
No, it is, and it needs to be a conversation together with your end customer as well, because also the end customers are looking at it, of course. We have quite some project with the end customer to stop the plastic and to go into other packaging material as well. But I think that is, for me, it's important to do that as Flamingo and to have a view on that for the end customer, for the consumer, and also the suppliers on the packing materials as well. To come with solutions that we can bring that forward. But again, for Flamingo, that was always sustainability was. I cannot remember that it was not there after 16 years. So it's important for us. Yeah.
Now it takes a big piece on the website as well, sustainability. So it shows.
Yeah.
So one of the 4 main things, insights. You really study on all the figures on what's happening in the stores. You got people there who are working on it every day. Over those 16 years, can you see things changing? What people buy, how they buy? Was it from spray carnations 40% to other things now? Or
no, I think as for the whole consumer insight data was always important for Flamingo, and I think only nowadays we have fixed people and a fixed team who are day-to-day busy and analyzing all the data. I was always surprised. I think in England you have quite good data what you can buy. By the way, that was always there. And 2.5 years ago we started also to deliver to the Scandinavian market. and maybe it's up to us as well to find the right data. But it's more difficult. It's more difficult to find the right data to do that. And in England, the UK was always very far with the data. And nowadays we have a fixed team who is doing that for our end customer as well, to look at the consumer behavior. And definitely, I think the consumer behavior is changing even this year, but it's changing a lot in the 16 years that we are looking at it. And I think now for us it's important. How can we move as a company? How can we and quickly move nowadays to follow those trends and the consumer behavior as well?
Yeah. I mean, you already said it. This year it's really strange, and consumer behavior is everybody's watching what's happening at the moment and how do people behave. Is there one of the main things that you can say, okay, this happened during the pandemic, that people either start buying more or bigger bouquets, smaller bouquets?
I think during the COVID-19, I can say in general, people are not buying in store but buying online, and that is a trend what we are seeing. Not so much different maybe, but that is a trend what we see. I think what we do see is that we are looking at the elements. Each retailer is different because you are selling the high end or the lower end, etc., etc. But the consumer behavior in general is that what we do see is that people are buying for different reasons. And the reason, for an example, is they buy more for themselves. When it was in the past, the share was always bigger that you will give flowers away. And gifting is definitely still there. But we see the percentages of buying it for yourself is something what is growing in the UK. Next to that, the happiness, so the emotions. I think that is now changing as well. Maybe it's and I can say it's coming back a little bit maybe from the past, because what I do see is that, I don't know if you remember that, my grandmother was always buying flowers every Friday on the market. And I think that changed a little bit, I think, during those years, that people were buying for occasion. And now we do see a trend in the UK that people are now buying for themselves a little bit more and get the happiness in-house. And that means if you buy for yourself, there are other reasons to do that than if you give it away. If you know what I mean. And so happiness, I think the presentation in stores is definitely important. People want to know where they are buying from. So I think traceability, where it is coming from, is very important. The story behind it. I think definitely the value. I think we want to deliver the mid and the higher end consumer in that way. And I think the packaging, what you already said. So I think that people are looking more about how to spec plastic or etc. in that way. So that's for us the 4-5 elements where you can see some change in the behavior of the consumer. But the consumer is always a never-ending story, because it's always changing in that way. But to follow it and to follow the trends and to look at the data, at least it will give us the opportunity to react on it and to change that, and also to give that information to our end customer as well.
And now that you see this changing, that people are more buying for themselves. I mean, there are so many studies showing that it influences people's health when you have flowers at home, and people are sitting more at home or working more at home. Is it something you think about together with the end customer to do a promotion like that and say, okay, take flowers in your house and you will feel 20% better, or you're 20% more productive?
Now you see it in Holland as well, some of those promotions, and in the UK there's definitely some promotions going on. I think in Holland we have more flower companies who are promoting that as well than in the UK probably. But you see that the retailers are definitely on presenting how they present the flowers, how they treat the consumer, how they want to react on the consumer. I think that is definitely changing in that way, and to make them aware about that and to give some happiness. I think that is the reason why we are doing it in the end. To make sure the consumer is coming back, and I think flowers are still important. I think everybody know if you walk into a retailer, if it is in Holland or in the UK, the first thing what you see is fresh products, fresh flowers. So it's maybe not the biggest item in the retail stores, but it's definitely the most important item in the store, because that is why people will come and people will come back in that way.
Yeah. And who knows, if we're going to sell more flowers in the retail shops, the retail will pay more attention, and I think what will happen then is the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. No, I'm sure, and I think that is what we try as Flamingo to take away from the retail as well. That we take over that responsibility as well. How you need to present it, how do we do the shelf life, how are we going to make sure it's really fresh in store. So I think on all those points is for us important, of course, because in the end, if the consumer will buy it, it's good for the retailer, but it's good for us and good for the growers in that sense.
Yeah, good for everybody.
Yeah.
So, one of the most difficult questions: how do you see the future on retail in the UK, but also on the mainland?
Yeah, in general, I think there's a lot of going on in Holland as well, and I think that the platforms are getting bigger and bigger. I think lean and mean and efficiency, I think, are a few words that is important, I think, and we see that as well. We also see at Flamingo, we have decided, of course, to go into plants as well. So we see the category flowers and plants merging together in that way.
Yeah.
I think looking forward, then the trends of happiness, seasonal flowers, local flowers, the story behind it, I think that those items are really important going forward. And innovation, I think, and that's the most difficult part probably, because the consumer, retail is difficult, but the consumer is even more difficult. They always want something new. So I think innovation is for me, and that is also the reason why I have quite a large NPD team as well. I'm always looking for new things and new innovation going forward as well.
Yeah, and I think that the possibilities are endless for the retail. I mean, you've got all other products, so why don't you sell a bouquet with a bottle of champagne or something like that?
Yeah, and that is what you see in the UK as well. We are doing that more and more, of course, that you don't only sell flowers, but if I'm looking at the turnover of chocolates and champagne and cheese and other things that we are selling nowadays in a gift box, for an example, it's growing rapidly, I think, and it's changing the business model as well, of course, in that way. And innovation is not only different flowers. Innovation is also maybe, what I said, other products, different logistic way of working in that way, packaging material. It's everything what is related to that chain. I do believe that we need to make sure it is as efficient as possible. So to make sure that we keep it as fresh as possible into stores and react on the consumer behavior in that way.
That's for sure. I mean, it has to go from the grower to the end consumer in as quick and lean as possible way. I mean, then they can enjoy the flowers or the plants longer as well. And I mean, that's what it's all about.
But the opportunities are great. I do agree. I think there's still a lot what we can do, where we can improve. But I think if you can still improve, then that means that the opportunities are still there as well.
Yeah. So we're getting towards the end of 2020. We've got one opportunity or challenge waiting, the Brexit.
Yeah.
So you have an English company. Maybe it's easier for you. But what do you think is going to happen, or what do you expect?
It's difficult to say. I think we are already busy with it since 2016. That gives you another challenge, because if you are already busy with it since that time, you need to make sure you keep people motivated to make sure it's still there, it's coming. Next to our COVID-19 challenge and all the other challenges we have, at the moment on the cards on the table are still that we get a hard Brexit from the 1st of January. So we prepared ourselves in that way 100%, and that is what we already did a couple of years ago, but of course we're still improving that those action points, I would say. So that means that, yeah, if that will really happen, it will delay the process. For example, I think in Holland we were always quite flexible to even get orders this morning or this afternoon and put it on the trailer tonight, and it will be in the UK tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
That part will be finished, and it's maybe black and white what I'm saying, but that is how it works. And because you need to declare your products 24 hours in front, and to make it ready, and all the paperwork needs to be done, of course. But I think with the partnerships we have with the transport company who are supplying or helping us for many years, I think we have a good good action points in place how we need to handle it.
Yeah.
It will not be easier, and I think it can also affect the price, because they are talking about an 8% fee, of course. I think nobody is waiting for this. So I really hope, and I still believe, that on the latest day of this year, there will be some kind of a deal on the table. I think the good news is that, of course, last week, or even this week, but there was a deal on the table now between the UK and Kenya. So that's good. Yeah. And I really hope that they are playing the cards at the moment, but that we have a deal on the table, because in the end, it's better for Holland, it's better for the UK, and it's better for everybody. But we are prepared, of course, because that is what we need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You cannot wait on a miracle to happen. Unfortunately.
No, it's difficult, but in the end, I think UK is still a flower country. They buy flowers a lot, the consumers over there. Holland is still very keen to send those flowers. So I think we do everything what we can to make it happen.
Yeah, that's for sure. You do a great job.
And it will make it, what you said, for us, I'm not saying easier, because that will demotivate the people who are doing a lot of work in my company for the Brexit. But I would say it's a little bit easier because it's our own company, and we are not supplying 500 different customers in the UK. So logistic-wise, it's going to the same company, of course. So that will make it a little bit easier in that way. But we are prepared, and we are still keen to sell a lot of flowers next year.
Yeah, and I think we certainly will, now with a lot of new buyers. I think that's what we see all over the world.
Yeah.
New people starting to discover flowers and plants.
Yeah.
So a lot of new gardeners all over the world.
Yeah. We need to learn them.
Yeah.
And we need to give them some happiness. That's good. Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank you for your time, Bas, for showing up in the Flower Circus Talks.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean, you as well. I think it's always good to talk about Flamingo. I'm always, even after 16 years, pleased to tell the story, I would say. And for you as well, I think Friday afternoon, it's always good to end the week in this way.
Yeah. Next time we do it with a beer as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much again, and thank you everybody for watching. Next week we have also a special guest. We have Morgan Douglas Nutt. He will tell about his flower shops. So excited to see him next week. And I thank you for watching, and stay safe.